The five-star restaurant Lumiere shimmered. Golden chandeliers glowed brilliantly, reflecting Alara's icy diamond jewelry. The notoriously cold, 32-year-old CEO, Alara Voss, entered with her 6-year-old son. Evan tightly clutched her expensive designer dress, whispering, "Mom, I'm scared of the crowd." Alara was heading to the VIP section when she abruptly stopped. She saw a single dad, weary but smiling in a faded shirt, expertly cutting pasta for his giggling 7-year-old daughter. Evan froze, utterly captivated. Alara frowned deeply. Evan stopped staring at that humble table, but the boy whispered, "Mom, I want to sit next to them, Daniel Hayes." Thirtrisks was exhausted but happy. He was a single father juggling 2 demanding jobs, a delivery driver by day and a building maintenance man by night, all to provide for his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Their life was frugal, but rich in love. Despite their limited budget, Daniel always made sure to take Lily out for a special, inexpensive weekend meal to celebrate small victories. Today was especially important. Lily had brought home a perfect report card. The Lumiere was far out of their league, but Daniel had found a small hidden cafe next door that served excellent pasta when a staff member at the cafe mistakenly seated them in a quiet, low-profile corner of the main high-end Lumiere dining area. Daniel didn't correct them, fearing the shame of being moved. He simply wanted Lily to enjoy the fancy lights. For just one evening, Lily was a ray of sunshine, bright, curious, and remarkably friendly, always eager to strike up a conversation with anyone nearby. She was busy admiring the shimmering chandeliers, entirely unaware that the most powerful photographed woman in the Pumot city was about to walk into her life. Alara Voss, meanwhile, had chosen this evening for a carefully orchestrated soft media reintroduction to the public, a controlled moment of humanity to counteract her icy corporate image. She had planned to take the discreet VIP table, but Evan refused to budge. "Mom, I want to sit with that girl." Evan insisted, pulling her sleeve. She looked so happy. Alara, a woman whose life revolved around logic and corporate strategy, was surprised by her son's raw, uncharacteristic display of emotion. He was usually as reserved as she was. She realized her own wealth had bought him silence, not joy. A nervous floor manager approached Alara, whispering urgently, "Madam, that family, they may not be suitable for your seating area. Perhaps the main dining room." Alara looked from her son's pleading eyes to the manager's condescending face. Her corporate edge returned cold and decisive. "My son decides," she stated flatly. She walked straight to Daniel's small, inconspicuous corner table. Daniel looked up and nearly choked on his water. He found himself face to face with Alara Voss, the woman whose face graced every business magazine. Alara skipped the pleasantries. Her delivery was direct, almost startling. "My son wishes to join your table." May we Lily, delighted by the prospect of a new playmate, beamed, "Yes, you can sit right here." Miss Daniel, flustered by the overwhelming smell of expensive perfume and the sheer presence of the billionaire, quickly pulled out a chair for her. In that moment, he felt a profound sense of disorientation, thinking she belongs to another world entirely. Why would she want to sit with us? The 2 children instantly connected. Evan, reserved moments ago, was captivated by Lily's infectious laughter and her easygoing nature. They spoke about school cartoons and their father's superpowers. Daniel and Alara, 2 people worlds apart in wealth and status, sat in an awkward, profound silence. The only thing they shared being the deep protective love for their children, as Daniel gently finished cutting Lily's pasta into perfect, manageable pieces. Evan leaned over the table, his eyes fixed on the task. Alara watched Daniel's hands, strong, scarred hands that had clearly known hard work. She realized that Daniel, despite his modest job, provided a fundamental tactile connection that her highly paid assistants and nanny simply could not replicate. Her world was one of delegation. Daniel's was one of personal execution and care. The contrast was devastatingly clear. The boy asked Daniel, his voice soft with genuine need. "Sir, can you cut mine for me too?" Alara froze entirely. Her son, Evan, had never asked anyone other than his full-time nanny to perform such a simple, loving act. He trusted this stranger, instantly recognizing the pure intention in his kindness. A group of powerful clients seated at a nearby table immediately noticed the scene. The aloof billionaire, sitting awkwardly with a visibly poor single father, whispers started circulating. Sharp and judgmental. Is she having a crisis? Perhaps a very literal public relations stunt. Direct charity. Alara, who despised gossip, tensed, ready to stand up and end the dinner. But Evan's small hand gripped her arm. "I like him. He's like a superhero." Lily, ever loyal, chimed in. "My daddy is a superhero. He can fix anything. He even fixed a whole apartment building's furnace last week." Alara found herself smiling, a genuine human smile. She rarely allowed herself at the children's innocent defense of Daniel. It was a moment of true, unscripted warmth, something her cold world desperately lacked. Daniel, keenly aware of the growing spectacle, quickly ordered the cheapest item on the menu, knowing he couldn't afford anything else. Evan, watching Lily eat with delight, declared cheerfully, "I want the same dish as Lily." The waiter, recognizing Daniel's worn shirt and cheap watch, looked him up and down with overt contempt. He addressed Daniel with thinly veiled derision. "Can you afford that, sir? That is a premium dish. We don't accept charity for our patrons." Ilara's eyes flashed with cold anger. She cut the waiter off her voice, dropping several degrees. "Bring 2 more servings, and send the check to my corporate account." Immediately, she commanded the waiter, recoiled, stammering an apology as he hurried away. A prominent society woman, Mrs. Harding, from the nearby table couldn't contain her spite. She spoke loudly enough for the whole restaurant to hear. "I thought the Voss dynasty dined with the elite, not janitors. What a spectacle, Alara. Your public image will never recover from this slumming." Daniel lowered his face, already accustomed to this casual contempt. The words felt like a physical blow, a constant reminder of his failure. Lily, however, was furious. She stood up on her chair, her small chest swelling with protective indignation. "My daddy is better than everyone here. He helps people." "You are all mean." Evan immediately stood up too, joining her side. "Mr. Daniel is better than all the boring drivers at my house. He knows how to smile." Alara watched the 2 children standing together, a small, fierce, protective army around Daniel. It was the most animated, passionate thing she had ever seen her son do. She felt a surge of loyalty, realizing that Daniel the janitor was the most honorable man in the room. But the moment of connection was brutally interrupted. Alara's personal assistant rushed into the restaurant, eyes wide with panic. "Miss Voss, emergency board meeting. Someone is trying to stage a corporate coup. They have evidence." The entire restaurant turned to watch Alara's face. Usually so composed, went visibly pale. Her hand began to tremble uncontrollably. The pressure, the exhaustion of fighting to maintain control, finally shattered her. Daniel, instantly assessing her, recognized the physiological signs: acute stress leading to hypoglycemic collapse. His trauma training, dormant for years, kicked in. Instantly, he didn't hesitate. He grabbed the glass of water and a packet of sugar from a discarded coffee service and shoved them into her hand. His hands moved with the speed and precision of a man who makes split-second life or death decisions. The floor staff whispered in astonishment. How did he know, before the assistant even noticed he just fixed the billionaire? Alara drank the sweet cold water. and after a few frantic minutes, her breathing stabilized. She looked up at Daniel, her voice trembling with shock and gratitude. Why did you help me? You didn't owe me anything after the way they treated you." Daniel's gaze was steady, focused on Evan, who was now clutching his mother's arm, terrified. "Because your son needs his mother alive," he simply said. "And no mother, regardless of who she is, should collapse in front of her child." As the color returned to Alara's cheeks, a profound realization washed over her. Lying back in the expensive leather booth, surrounded by people who relied on her wealth and power, the only person who saw her as a vulnerable human being was the man everyone else had dismissed. He didn't see the CEO, the target, or the charity case. She thought he just saw a mother in danger. That level of simple humanity is alien to my world. She realized that in the moment of her greatest weakness, her enormous wealth had been utterly useless. Once Alara was stable, she quietly ushered Daniel and the children into the restaurant's private VIP lounge, a sanctuary of leather and mahogany, to talk without the intrusive eyes of the media and the guests. Evan and Lily were already engaged in a game of tag, their innocent laughter echoing softly through the opulent room. Alara sat opposite Daniel, finally letting her guard down. She sighed the sound, heavy with the weight of her empire. "They are trying to discredit me by spreading rumors that I am not mentally or physically fit to run the company. They need a medical crisis, and I just gave them one on camera." Daniel looked at his teacup, which is why you experienced the acute stress response. It wasn't the food. It was the fear of losing control. "You are running on empty, Miss Voss." Alara looked up, surprised. "You read that accurately. What is your background?" "Daniel, you speak like a therapist or a strategist. The way you acted was instinctual, professional." "Piana." Daniel hesitated, avoiding her penetrating gaze. Then Evan ran in, pulling at his sleeve. "Tell the story about the time you saved someone. Uncle Daniel, the one about the smoke." Alara looked at Daniel, her curiosity piqued. Saved someone. Daniel let out a long breath, deciding to share the truth he had kept hidden for years. "I was an emergency trauma doctor in the military." He revealed the confession. "Painful. I specialized in combat field medicine and acute psychological triage. That's why I recognized your symptoms instantly." He paused, the true weight of his secret falling heavily on the room. "But I left the field entirely after my wife died, from a surgical error. I couldn't save her. I decided I didn't deserve to save anyone else." He explained further, his voice raspy with old pain. "It wasn't just a regular mistake. I was deployed consulting on a life-saving procedure miles away. Her doctor called me for advice. Mid-surgery, I gave the guidance thinking I was helping, but the procedure failed. I was saving other people, but I was unavailable to save the one person who mattered most. Even by proxy, I felt like my dedication to my career, to being the best trauma doctor, had created a distance that killed her. So I stopped. I traded saving the world for securing Lily's single small world, where I could never be too far away." Alara's eyes softened, recognizing the profound grief and guilt hidden behind his simple life. It was the first time she saw the man, not the maintenance worker, a man who had traded global contribution for quiet penance. Then the first twist arrived. Evan, who had been laughing moments before, suddenly stopped running. His face went alarmingly white, and he gripped his chest. Alara panicked. Evan, what's wrong?" Daniel, the trauma doctor, immediately resurfacing, grabbed the boy's wrist and checked his pulse. His heart rate is spiking. He is having an acute panic attack, triggered by seeing his primary caregiver collapse. Evan hyperventilated, tears streaming down his face. "Mom, I'm scared you'll get hurt. I'm scared. You'll disappear. All the nannies say you work too much, and one day you won't come back." Alara tried to hold him, but Evan recoiled slightly, clinging to her dress, his small body rigid with fear. Alara realized she didn't know how to console him. I manage billions, but I can't call my own son. She thought her sense of failure absolute. Daniel, seeing Alara's helplessness, took decisive action. He scooped the terrified boy into his arms, holding him close to his chest. "It's okay. I'm right here. You are safe. Breathe with me." He demonstrated the rhythmic pattern of breathing he used for soldiers, in shock, grounding Evan in the present moment. He spoke in a low, even tone, distracting Evan with simple sensory questions. "Evan, can you feel my shirt? What color is it? Can you count the lights above us?" Evan followed Daniel's steady rhythm. Minutes later, the boy's breathing normalized. He relaxed fully against Daniel's chest, a complete physical surrender. He whispered, "You smell like clean air." Uncle Daniel Alara watched the scene, Daniel the single dad holding her fragile son, and her eyes welled up with silent tears. She had never seen such instant, profound trust placed in anyone outside of herself. She realized her wealth had robbed her son of the simple security that Daniel provided. Naturally, this single brief exchange of physical comfort was more powerful than years of purchased childcare. The second twist immediately followed. Alara's assistant burst back into the room, phone pressed to her ear, yelling in panic. "Miss Voss, the video of you collapsing in the restaurant is going viral. The board is meeting to invoke the fitness clause. They will use it to strip you of your position." Alara sank into the chair, devastated. They will use this public weakness against me. It's over." Daniel stood up, his voice decisive and firm, the voice of a man who makes critical decisions under fire. "You are not a cold CEO, Miss Voss. You are a mother, and they are using your motherhood against you." Alara broke down, the tears finally flowing freely. "No one," she choked out. "No one has ever said that to me before. Everyone just sees the corporation." Daniel placed his hand on her shoulder. "Let me help you. You don't fight a coup with power. You fight it with truth." He quickly and methodically analyzed the situation. The timing of the board meeting, the assistant's sudden appearance, the immediate leak of the video. He saw the operation not as a business problem, but as a hostile tactical maneuver. The person running this coup needed more than just a boardroom vote. Daniel stated, pointing to the facts, they needed public outrage to pressure the external shareholders. The swiftness of the viral video leak combined with your assistant's exact panic. Timing proves this was coordinated. The head of operations. "Mr. Sterling has always wanted your chair." He hired the assistant specifically to gather compromising evidence. That leak was intentional, designed to look accidental. He accurately identified the hidden player behind the corporate conspiracy, the reason for the attack, and the exact strategy needed to spin the media narrative. We don't deny the collapse. We reframe it. We call it what it is. A mother's exhaustion from fighting a hostile corporate takeover designed to damage her family's legacy. We turn his weapon, the video, into your testament to sacrifice. Alara was astonished. "You're thinking 10 steps ahead of my legal team. You could be my chief strategist and medical advisor." Rolled into one, you see the human factor in the cold math of power. Daniel shook his head. "I only know one thing. Your son needs you to be strong. We turn this weakness into your greatest strength, your humanity." He turned to Lily and Evan. "Kids, Mommy and Daddy have a big mission. We need to save the company so Mommy can keep buying you all the pasta you want." The children cheered instantly, their fear replaced by a sense of purpose. Evan ran to Daniel, hugging his waist tightly. "Please don't leave us, Uncle Daniel. I need you to stay with Mommy." Alara, utterly humbled and grateful, invited Daniel and Lily back to her opulent mansion for dinner as a formal thank you. Evan was waiting by the door, greeting Lily like a long-lost sister. They immediately ran off to explore the grand house, their combined laughter filling the previously echoing halls. They found Evan's colossal playroom, which was full of unopened, expensive toys. Lily immediately began showing Evan how to build a secret base using old blankets and cushions, an exercise in simple imagination that Evan had never experienced. The mansion which Alara had always felt was a cold monument to her success suddenly felt like a home. Daniel entered the magnificent living room feeling completely out of place. He adjusted his collar nervously. "This place, it doesn't belong to me." Alara offered a gentle, genuine smile. "Tonight it does. Please, just be yourself." The dinner was the antithesis of the stressful restaurant scene. It was warm, relaxed, and intimate. For the first time in years, Alara laughed wholeheartedly, her cold mask completely gone. Lily entertained them all with stories of her dad's superhero moments, how he once fixed a burst water heater in the middle of the night and rescued a fat, stuck neighborhood cat. Evan listened, captivated, laughing so hard he nearly fell off his chair. Alara realized that while her life was built on billion-dollar transactions, Daniel's was built on human connection and genuine service. Alara found herself watching Daniel in the kitchen, his sleeves rolled up, helping the chef plate the food. A strange, unfamiliar warmth spread through her chest. She saw the competent, caring doctor blending seamlessly with the humble maintenance worker, a complete man. Later, Alara and Daniel had a quiet conversation in the library, sipping tea. "How do you manage to be so present?" Alara asked, her voice tinged with envy. "I have entire teams for my son, yet I miss everything I delegate. Comfort, joy, and basic care. I delegate, Evan." Daniel smiled sadly. "I don't delegate because I can't afford to, but more importantly, I don't delegate because I realized the hard way that presence is the most precious thing we own. Every time I cut Lily's pasta or fix a broken toy, I'm securing a memory with her. My time is my only wealth." Now, Alara, you have infinite financial capital, but I have infinite time. Capital for my daughter. Evan tugged on his mother's hand, his eyes wide with admiration as he watched Daniel interact with Lily. "Mom, Uncle. Daniel is just like a father to me. He makes things okay." Alara froze. Her son's simple, unguarded statement struck the deepest, most sensitive chord in her heart. Evan was voicing the need for the stability and masculine warmth that her work had never allowed her to provide. Alara led Daniel out to the massive, empty terrace, gazing over the city lights. "For years, I believed I could buy everything my son needed," she confessed, her voice soft and vulnerable. "But tonight, I realized I bought him loneliness. You gave him 10 minutes of belonging that my entire fortune couldn't purchase." Daniel nodded slowly. "Money creates distance, Alara, but love closes it. You just have to choose which one you value more." Alara walked to the edge of the terrace, looking out at the city. "I spent my life fighting to be seen as a warrior. I built a wall of ice to protect myself from the world and my own grief, but that wall didn't keep the danger out. It kept the love out tonight. You didn't just save my company. You saved my heart from freezing over Luke." Juahai Chakon Rakwa Alara stopped Daniel at the mansion's massive oak door. She looked him directly in the eye, not as a CEO, but as a woman making a plea. "Will you come to the company tomorrow? I need someone I can absolutely trust by my side. I need your clarity." "Daniel, I need the man who sees the person behind the title." Daniel looked down at her, seeing a woman broken by her own success, but now radiating a glimmer of hope. He nodded. "For your son. I will be there. I promise to protect the woman he needs the next morning." Daniel walked into the emergency shareholders meeting with Alara. Lily and Evan walked in front of them, Their hands linked a picture of innocent, united strength. This time they were not hiding. They were Alara's foundation. The tension in the room was suffocating the conspirator. Mr. Sterling, the head of operations, smirked, ready to present the viral video as proof of Alara's incompetence. Sterling, a man who believed power was exclusively earned through ruthless ambition, was confident of victory. Daniel stepped forward, calmly commandeering the presentation screen. He quickly and methodically broke down the viral video using his observational and analytical skills. Not just as a doctor, but as a former trauma strategist, he proved the video was deliberately filmed by a low-level assistant hired by the head of operations, and the leak was timed precisely to cause maximum damage. He presented medical evidence showing Alara's collapse was stress-induced hypoglycemia, a temporary state, not an underlying condition. Then Daniel shifted his focus. He didn't just present the facts. He presented a philosophy. This is not a medical report. It is a character analysis. Daniel stated, his voice ringing with authority, looking directly at the shareholders. Mr. Sterling used Miss Voss's moment of human weakness, her exhaustion to attempt a hostile takeover. This company is built on strength, and Miss Voss's greatest strength is not her cold logic, but the sheer effort she exerts for her family and her company. The head of operations sputtered in denial, turning bright red. This is outrageous slander. Who is this maintenance man? Daniel produced documented evidence, a digital trail of communications that exposed the entire calculated attempt to strip Alara of her leadership, including Sterling's direct instructions to the assistant to film and leak. The shareholders were shocked. They immediately turned on the conspirator, condemning him for his betrayal and profusely apologizing to Alara. Sterling was escorted out of the meeting, his reputation and career instantly ruined, a major shareholder. Mrs. Harding, the woman from the restaurant, stood up, addressing the room, her voice now respectful. Who is this man? His competence is stunning. Who found this evidence? Alara looked directly at Daniel, her eyes filled with gratitude and newfound affection. He is Daniel Hayes, and he is the only person who never turned his back on me. He is the man who saved my life and reminded me how to be a mother. And from today, he is my chief strategy and wellness officer. His job is to remind this entire corporation of the human factor. We forgot 3. The board, witnessing Daniel's quiet power, unimpeachable loyalty, and sheer analytical brilliance, immediately offered him a permanent position as the chief health and security advisor for the entire corporation. They understood they were getting a strategist and a doctor, disguised as a maintenance worker. Daniel, finally finding his purpose again, looked at the contract. He firmly refused the standard terms. I will only accept if Lily and Evan are part of this arrangement. My work schedule must allow me to remain a fully present father. They are my priority, not a negotiation point. My presence here is a commitment to a better work-life balance for every parent in this company. Evan ran up and hugged Daniel's leg. Please stay forever, Uncle Daniel. We need you here. Alara looked at Daniel, her defenses finally permanently gone. I want you to stay too. Daniel is my partner in every sense of the word. We can build a life together that prioritizes our children's laughter over our corporate titles. Lily clasped Evan's hand, giggling happily. So are we like brother and sister now? We can share a room in the big house. Daniel laughed, a genuine, joyful sound. Tears welling in his eyes. I think we just might be. It seems fate had a different plan for all 4 of us. He accepted the role not to chase prestige, but to honor his commitment to presence and purpose. The final scene, Alara took Daniel's hand, a silent promise exchanged between 2 people who found love and purpose where they least expected it. They were no longer the cold CEO and the struggling single dad. They were two parents, united. The two children ran ahead, their laughter carrying on the wind. The setting sun cast four long, intertwined shadows across the pavement. A new, unconventional family created not by blood or wealth, but by a shared moment of vulnerability, earned respect, and unconditional love. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, leave a comment and subscribe.